Hello, my friends. Today we actually have some good news from the front lines, and not just that. But let's start with the situation at the border, where the Ukrainian forces are still carrying out offensive actions, though their advance has significantly slowed down. Over the past day, no new progress has been recorded. Meanwhile, Russian forces continue shelling the Sumy region, even though the buffer zone in the Kursk region was partially created to reduce the number of strikes. In the Kharkiv direction, the Russians are facing a complete failure. They continue their attacks on Lyptsi and shelling the frontline areas and Kharkiv itself. Offensive actions also persist around Vovchansk, and Ukrainian forces reports indicate that the Russians have made minimal gains, but overall the frontline remains unchanged. In any case, it's clear that the Russians plan to at least reach the Ukrainian forces' defensive line, which runs 15 kilometers from the border, hasn't materialized. Their operation has failed. And satellite images show the aftermath of a strike on an ammunition depot in the Voronezh region. As seen, everything is burning, which means the strike hit its target perfectly. But now let's move on to the very difficult situation along the front line. In the Kupiansk direction, the fighting hasn't stopped. After capturing Stelmakhivka, the Russians are trying to push further, but the Ukrainian forces are still managing to repel the attacks. There are no new Russian successes here. Things are a bit more challenging near Hlushkivka, where the Russians have managed to break through several times recently. However, the front line has been stabilized for now, and the Ukrainian forces continue to repel around 10 Russian assaults per day. In the Svatove area, Russians are making periodic advances. Today, fighting continues for Berestove, which is in a very difficult position as it's surrounded on all sides by Russian forces. There are also ongoing battles for Andriivka and near Stelmakhivka. Further south, assaults continue on Heorhiivka, Chernyshina, Druželiubivka and Makiyivka. The Russians are slowly advancing here as well, but the Ukrainian forces are doing everything possible to stop them. In the Kreminna direction, battles continue for Terny, Torske, and attempts are being made to advance through the Serebrianka Forest. However, no successes were achieved over the past day, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Siversk direction, the Russians recently recorded significant successes near Vyimka, but for now no new attacks have been launched and the situation remains stable. Fighting continues near Verkhnokamianske and Spirne. In the Chasiv Yar direction, the Russians continue striking on Kostyantynivka and attempting to break through near Chasiv Yar, with skirmishers being recorded along the flanks. Though they are slowly expanding their positions, it comes with significant difficulties and losses. Attacks are also being reported near Heorhiivka, and there are attempts to storm Andriivka. However, no changes in the front line have been observed over the past day. In the Toretsk direction, the Ukrainian forces confirmed their success. Ukrainian troops advanced by 5.5 kilometers, and as previously reported, the outskirts of New York are now under Ukrainian control. Despite this, the Russians haven't ceased their attacks, pushing toward Sukha Balka and launching assaults on Alexandropol, Lysivka and Toretsk, along with continued heavy shelling. In the Pokrovsk direction, the Russians continue to storm Selydove and are advancing near Novogrodivka toward Lysivka. According to preliminary information, they have already established positions on the outskirts of Lysivka. There are also ongoing battles for Hrodivka, with attempts to break through near Myrolubivka, Vozdvizhenka and toward Tarasivka. At the same time, Russian forces are heavily preparing for an assault on Pokrovsk and Myrnohrad. Throughout the day and evening, a significant number of strikes were recorded on Pokrovsk and Myrnohrad, targeting logistics to prevent the Ukrainian forces from bringing in reserves to this area. As a result, the situation here is extremely tense. In the Kurakhove direction, fighting continues for Krasnohorivka, with clashes also being recorded near Heorhiivka and the village of Kostyantynivka. However, there have been no changes on the front line. In the Vuhledar direction, battles are ongoing for Vodene, and clashes have been recorded near Staromayorsk, which remains under Russian control. Shelling continues, but there have been no changes in the front line over the past day. In the Zaporizhia direction, Russian forces are still trying to push the Ukrainian forces out of the territory regained during the counteroffensive. They have partially succeeded in doing so, with Robotine now under their control. However, they still cannot clear their surrounding fields. Russian attacks are primarily focused toward Mala Tokmachka, but all attempts have been unsuccessful, with the Ukrainian forces inflicting heavy losses and maintaining the current front line. In the Kherson direction, shelling of the right bank continues, with offensive actions around Kazachi Lahari ongoing. However, the front line remains unchanged with the past day. Russian war correspondents indicate attempts to break through to the islands and the right bank. Russian sources claim that two separate attempts were made by the 328th Airborne Brigade and 28th Motorized Rifle Brigade to advance through Kreminna to the shore. An attempt was also made to land on the Big Island, but it was unsuccessful. Meanwhile, Trump continues to assert that he could end the war within 24 hours. Trump has outlined his plan to end the war in Ukraine by significantly reducing energy prices within 12 months of taking office. He believes Putin won't be able to sustain the war with oil prices at $40. Trump says he will call both Putin and Zelensky the night of his victory and strike a deal within 24 hours. Friends, the election is on November 5th. And the war could potentially end by November 6th. Do you believe this? Share your thoughts in the comments. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.